Welcome back to F Recap. Today I'll be taking you through a 2015 film that blends comedy, horror, and action, titled I Am a Hero. Hideo Suzuki works as a manga artist. He creates anime characters and lives with his girlfriend Teko. The guy can't seem to draw anything worthwhile, but what weighs on him the most is the fact that 15 years ago, he received an award and a prize as a promising newcomer. Teko brings up the topic of money more and more frequently since, in fact, she is the one supporting Suzuki. At a meeting with representatives of a reputable company, the guy meets another winner of that same contest from 15 years ago, Nakata. Nakata is doing well. He has achieved great success by drawing manga. In the evening, Teko throws a fit. She's tired of living in poverty and listening to the excuses of a boyfriend who earns nothing. Sitting outside, the young man flips through a magazine featuring Nakata's work and realizes that he is truly talented. This causes his mood to sink even lower. Meanwhile, an epidemic of an unknown virus is spreading in the city. In some areas, the authorities have imposed a quarantine. Several people at Suzuki's workplace have already fallen ill, but no one has paid much attention to it. In the evening, Teko calls the guy to ask for forgiveness. Her voice is very weak due to the virus she's contracted. After finishing work, the young man immediately goes to her. The girl jumps at him from behind the door. Her body is unnaturally contorted, her eyes are bloodshot, and she constantly tries to bite him. Suzuki pushes his girlfriend away, and she falls, hitting her head on a sharp statuette, the very one he was awarded 15 years ago. Seeing Teko's motionless body, the young man swiftly leaves the apartment. Walking down the street, he notices military drones in the sky, but doesn't give them much thought. When Suzuki arrives at work, he witnesses a strange scene. His colleague Matani is holding a bloodied bat, which he had used to defend himself against the crazed employees and the boss. He explains that they had turned into some kind of creatures, and he was forced to take them down. The man also mentions that the news reported the infection is transmitted through bites. Suzuki examines his hand, which Teko had bitten, but sees only a bruise. She hadn't managed to break the skin. Lifting his eyes, the young man sees that Matani is also starting to transform. Not wanting to become a creature, the man slits his own throat. Terrified, the guy runs away. Chaos reigns in the streets. Crowds of people are attacking each other, forming a massive army of bloodthirsty beings. Cars are hitting pedestrians and crashing into buildings. Trying to escape, he jumps into the first available taxi with a woman and a man he doesn't know. As they drive out of the city, they witness the military shooting infected civilians. Suzuki notices that the man sitting next to him is starting to transform. He pushes him out of the car, but the man manages to bite the driver. As the infection begins to take over the driver's body, he lets go of the wheel, and the car veers off into a ditch. Waking up in the wrecked car, the young man helps his new acquaintance Hiromi get out. Together, they set off in search of a safe place. As night falls, the two are forced to stop and spend the night in an abandoned house. Waking up in the morning, Suzuki notices a red mark on Hiromi's neck, which immediately alarms him. Without hesitation, he points the shotgun at her, the one he was lucky to take with him after Teko kicked him out. Calmly, Hiromi explains that 2 days ago, she was bitten by a neighbor's infant. She suspects the baby was infected through its mother's milk, meaning that now she too is infected. Hearing this, Suzuki lowers the gun and admits that he was bitten as well. However, he is convinced that both he and Hiromi are different, as the virus has yet to manifest in either of them. They agree they must continue their journey, and Suzuki suggests heading towards Mount Fuji, believing it could be a safe place to ride out the epidemic. Their journey takes them through a dense forest. At one point, Hiromi begins to feel the virus slowly taking over her body. She urges Suzuki to run far away so as not to endanger himself. However, when Suzuki encounters other infected people, Hiromi comes to his aid. Her transformation is only partial, which allows her to retain control over herself. Moreover, she has gained superhuman strength, enabling her to protect both of them. Realizing she can be a reliable shield for her friend, Hiromi decides to follow him, despite the dangerous situation she finds herself in. Suzuki and Hiromi spend several days on the road. Hiromi, weakened from hunger, loses all her strength, forcing the young man to carry her on his back. Upon reaching a hotel at the foot of the mountain, Suzuki encounters an infected porter. Desperately, he tries to wake Hiromi to defend him, but she remains unresponsive. Just as Suzuki is about to meet his end, an unknown figure with a weapon and protective mask saves him. Seeing zombies approaching from all directions, the strangers tell Suzuki to come with them. He places Hiromi in a shopping cart, covering one of her eyes to hide the fact that she is partially infected. The two are taken to a survivor camp located on the roof of the hotel. The next day, Yara, the leader of the group, gathers all the men and shows them a map of the underground garages. According to him, one of the storage rooms down there should have a large supply of food. Their current provisions are running out, and if they can make it to the garage, they'll have enough food for several months. Yara demands that Suzuki give up his rifle, and when the young man refuses, he starts threatening him with Hiromi. Yabu steps in to protect her, but her strength isn't enough. The men drag Hiromi out of the tent, but she effortlessly pushes them away. Realizing they're dealing with an infected, Yara shoots her in the head with a crossbow. Hiromi quietly drops to the ground. It seems the leader has triumphed, but the crowd of survivors immediately starts to buzz with unrest. Everyone noticed that Hiromi was different from other infected. Her behavior was still somewhat human. Meanwhile, Yabu and Suzuki hide her body in one of the tents. Yara keeps insisting he was in the right, but the arrow didn't pierce Hiromi's skull. She's still alive. Upon learning this, Suzuki was overwhelmed with joy. His new acquaintance encourages him, assuring him that only a truly brave person can risk their life for the sake of others. Suzuki himself doesn't consider himself a hero. On the contrary, he still believes that he is incapable of achieving anything in this life. The next day, the men head to the underground storage rooms. They manage to reach the area where the food is kept, but a new danger awaits them there. The infected begin closing in from all sides, trapping them in a narrow corridor. Panic spreads among the group. Yara, who holds a grudge against his comrades, watches them through surveillance cameras from his control room. He has no intention of saving them. On the contrary, he deliberately disables some of the doors, allowing the infected to break in. Meanwhile, one of the zombies, as if flying, soars into the air and lands directly on the roof where the survivors are. Almost the entire camp becomes infected. Only Yabu and Hiromi remain, frantically trying to call for help over the radio. Hearing their distress calls, Suzuki decides to overcome his fears and breaks out of his hiding spot. Suddenly, Suzuki is attacked by a zombie, but he barely manages to fend it off and continues on his way. The girls manage to get down from the roof and make it to the parking lot. Yabu is carrying Hiromi on her shoulders when Yara appears in front of them. He tells them he has a car and offers to leave together, but Hiromi starts to grow suspicious. She notices Yara acting strangely and realizes that he's been bitten as well. Suddenly, he turns and attacks them. Just in time, Suzuki arrives to help. Without hesitation, he blows Yara's head off with a shot from his rifle. A few more survivors join the group, including Sango and Abe. As the infected surround them, Hiromi suddenly regains consciousness. She confesses to Suzuki that she believes in his unique ability. Only he can stop this madness. Inspired by her words, Suzuki raises his rifle and begins systematically taking down zombies, one by one. The others follow his lead, joining the fight against the chaos. In the end, only Suzuki, Hiromi, and a few women survive. They get into a car and drive away, hoping to find a safe place. All the events they've been through force Suzuki to reevaluate his life. Now he realizes that he's capable of far more than he ever thought possible. There's a reason he was given a name that translates to hero. It's been a long and difficult journey, but now he understands that he can fight for life and protect those he cares about. Well, my friends, it seems our heroes managed to stay human even in such difficult times. As always, a huge thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave a comment letting me know what you thought about this zombie apocalypse in Japan. See you in the next video.